This is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back to Scramble Drill, the Dynasty Dive, where Landon and I talk about our favorite thing, Dynasty Fantasy Football. Landon, it was much anticipated. We've been waiting and fighting a battle, and week one finally came, and it's already gone. How are you doing?
It is in the books. I'm doing well. How did you do across all platforms in week one?
So actually, I won in pretty much every single league I'm in, except for probably our two primary leagues in League of Ordinary Gentlemen and the Granddaddy of All Moly. In both of those leagues, I got absolutely shellacked.
That's tough. I got hammered in Mully as well in the Granddaddy of them all. I split about 500 across week one. So
yeah,
feeling okay.
I definitely a winning record overall, but I would like to have a win in at least one of those other two leagues. The League of Ordinary Gentlemen also stings because the guy I lost to preseason was easily the worst team in the league, easily. But I'm pretty sure every single player he has scored a touchdown. Everybody.
Yep. It always hurts.
He had Baker
Always
Mayfield, Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, Jerry Jeudy, Zach Moss, just all scoring touchdowns. And then Joe Burrow and the Bengals decided that, we don't need to win this week, so it stings.
That's how it goes.
Stings
I had, including all my players, I had 2 touchdowns in the Granddaddy of them all. Mahomes had 1, and Jonathan Taylor had 1. That was it.
Is that all you had?
Only touchdowns my team scored. That's
Holy
all the
smokes.
touchdowns I had. All the touchdowns I had. I had a lot on my bench.
So what you're saying is Josh Allen outscored your team because he had 4 touchdowns.
In touchdowns, yes.
Yes.
In touchdowns, yes, he did. So
that's
how
I guess
fantasy
I only
football
had
works.
6 touchdowns in my lineup, 4 of them coming from Josh Allen. So mine was not amazing either.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that depression out of the
300%
way,
what I had.
yeah, that is not fun. So Josh and I are recording later this week, tomorrow, where he and I are kind of going to go matchup by matchup and just recap, react to what happened. So we're kind of going to hold just a little bit of it back. He and I will talk about some news there. But there is some news that you and I both feel is very relevant to Dynasty players. And Landon, you're going to have to, and I guess me too, but I didn't say it as loudly as you did, that Dak Prescott signed a contract. It's a little extension, not a big one. But, yeah. 4 years, $240 million.
I now know how these people on TV feel when they just get something dead wrong. Because I went back and listened to our episode from last week today, and I said, and I quote, 0% chance Dak signs before the season. 0% was my
It turns
quote.
out there was a percentage there.
There was a percentage there. I am more shocked by this news than anything else. I think he would have gotten 65 if he went to free agency. Maybe in Dallas, maybe somewhere else. I didn't think he'd be in Dallas, actually. But he signed. He got $231 guaranteed. If you're a Cowboys fan, I actually don't know how you feel about this. If you are a fantasy football player, you feel good because he's good for fantasy football. But, yeah, I kind of got to eat crow on this one because I was 100% wrong.
Yeah, no, and I honestly agree with you. Like, I thought that, he'll play this year. He's going to get an offer of $60 million from the Cowboys, regardless of if he signed this year or next year. They're going to offer him $60 million, and next year he could just play the market and see, like, okay, Dallas is going to give me 60. Who's going to give me 65? And somebody, like you said, would.
Yeah,
but I
they
guess even for Dak, you gotta. I guess when somebody's offering you $60 million, you just take it. So good for Dak.
If I was his agent, nope. If I was his agent, he'd have been waiting.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
and like you said too, even if he got hurt this year, Kirk Cousins literally tore his Achilles at 35 years old and got $100 million guaranteed from Atlanta. So, and we see how that turned out for us. That's wonderful.
Well, we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, we can both rant just a little bit. I know I'm going to mention a player from the Falcons, and we're both going to mention a player from the Commanders. So we will save that.
Yeah.
I guess we can go ahead and get into it now. So like we said, Josh and I are going to go team by team and just kind of talk about what happened. But there's a few players for Dynasty that we kind of went through, highlighted, and said there's stuff to talk about for these guys. Let's mention them. Multiple rookies on here that we need to mention. But there's a few younger veteran players, quote unquote, guys that aren't rookies but are still young that warrant a mention.
Right.
So
Everybody,
I'll
I
start.
think, is
go ahead.
first 3 years. Everybody's first 3 years.
Yeah, I think we'll
Yeah.
talk about it. I think it's first 3.
Yeah.
Let's start with a few receivers, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Landon, I don't know how much you watched on Sunday, but I know the Saints won big. If you looked at the Saints just score and saw that they put up 47 points, how many points do you think Olave would have scored? How many receiving yards, touchdowns do you think he probably had?
I would say, well, he at least scored a touchdown. All right. So that's 7 points right there if you're in a PPR league. I'd say he probably had at least 5 to 7 catches, probably 70 to 110 yards and a touchdown, something like that, at least. Possibly
At
more,
least?
but at least that. That's what I would say. How much did he have?
He had 2 targets, 2 receptions, 11 yards.
Oh, that's not that
And they
good.
put up
But 2 touchdowns,
And they put
right?
up
2.
no 0 touchdowns.
He had 2 short touchdowns? Oh, 0
No.
touchdowns. Wow.
0 touchdowns. Chris Olave was an absolute non-factor for fantasy this week.
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly what to say about it because it is just weird. Like, you expect Chris Olave, like, that's why so many people, including myself, like, liked him. Like, it's a bad situation, sure, but he's going to get all of the target volume. And then you've got Rashid Shaheed and out targeting him and all these guys. So it's a super weird game that we watched. But what's the Dynasty takeaway? And I meant to stop us earlier and forgot about it. You and I were kind of talking about earlier. How do we react as Dynasty players after just 1 week of the season?
Right. So Dynasty obviously once the season started, you're focusing more on like who's producing right now. Obviously, if you're trying to win, if you're contending, you're trying to, or you don't know where you are exactly, but you're trying to make a playoff spot. Once the season starts, you're focusing a lot more on the next 3 weeks as opposed to the next 3 years. It's important after week 1 to keep the bigger picture in play, right? Keep the bigger picture in mind of this isn't just redraft, right? If you have Chris Olave in a redraft league and you're like starting to panic a little bit, I kind of get that, right? I understand that after week 1.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, week 1 is kind of the most unpredictable week of the year. Week 1 is the week that by week 8 we'll have completely forgotten about week 1. Like every year there's people who come out and they don't produce in week 1. They have an off game. They get 2 targets like Chris Olave is sitting here with. And people overreact. People are like, oh, this is where he's at for the whole season. I remember 2 years ago, I think Devonta Smith had 0 catches in week 1. Do you remember that?
That was last
2 years
year.
ago or 3 years ago?
That was last year.
Was it last year? No,
I'm pretty sure it was last year.
Okay. So stuff like this happens, and it's important when you're thinking of Dynasty. The rule I want to make is there's no Dynasty trade I would make this week. There's no Dynasty trade I would make right now that I wouldn't have made a week ago. So nothing is, no performance other than injury. Okay, injury is different. But no performance is from week one of this season for a rookie, second-year player, third-year player is changing my Dynasty rankings of them, my Dynasty outlook for them. So I kind of have with Olave specifically, I'm kind of in a decent spot because I'm a little lower on him than most people are. Like, where was he going in redraft leagues? Like late second, early third?
I think he was a third rounder. Yeah, about a third rounder.
Yeah, like there's people who
Mid-third,
really thought like he could be a top 10 receiver this year. Like genuinely, I'm not that high on him, so I don't expect him to get 2 targets every week. But as far as Dynasty outlook, nothing. This is a weird game, man. Like they're up 30 points right off the bat, and then they kind of throttle down after that, and they just weren't throwing the ball. I think Chris Olave will lead the Saints in targets this year. I think he will lead the Saints in receiving production. Dynasty takeaway, this doesn't really change his ranking.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and it kind of week one is a good time for Dynasty players to attack because we build up all like you said, we build up all off season, and then like even I noticed it in myself. Once week one starts, there's a gear that it's almost no matter who you are, even the biggest Dynasty diehards, that gear shifts in your head when you see point totals in your lineup. You're like, oh, I'm getting blown out, or I'm doing amazing kind of thing. And you go and you see those scores, and it does affect you no matter who you are. So this is a good time. I mean, if the contending team in your league has Chris Olave, I mean, what do you think? I mean, I don't even want to say what do you buy him for, but you mean to tell me that you can't get Cooper Kupp, flip him for Olave right now? Yeah. Contending teams doing that.
You probably could, actually. But the reason I say that is just I'm not making any trade now that I wouldn't have made a week ago. So let's say Michael Pittman plus something, right? Whatever your addition to Michael Pittman is to get Olave. Like, let's say an opposing team has Olave, right? And if like last week, I would have traded Michael Pittman and say a second for him. Like I would have made that trade last week. If that owner wants to make it this week, I'm fine with making it because I would have made it last week. But I'm not going to now trade, something way greater for Olave because I wouldn't have made it last week. My point is the trade value shouldn't change after 1 week of football. The trade value shouldn't change. Whatever you thought his price was going into Sunday, that should be where you have his price right now. Now, if we get 4 weeks into the season and this is what we've seen, then we can talk. Then it changes. But after week one, no, it's not enough. It's not enough sample size. It's not enough. It's just a volatile week of football. So, and it was just a weird game too. He kind of got game scripted. It was weird.
Yeah, on the first play, I think is it Rashid Shaheed's catching a long touchdown, and the Panthers are just turning the ball all over the place. So they really did not have to rely on him whatsoever, just because it was such a lopsided game.
It was that's kind of what we're saying. Obvious.
Go ahead.
It was so obvious that the Panthers were never going to move the ball. Never going to move the ball.
Yeah, no, it was
a weird game.
What do you do as a Panthers fan? Like this has got to be so demoralizing. Like you go out, you add this stuff, you bring in a new coach, and you look worse than ever. Because people had questions about the Saints, and they still come in, absolutely throttle you.
That was brutal, man. That was like, it wasn't just a blowout. It felt like one team did not deserve to be an NFL team.
No,
It felt like the Panthers
like
were genuinely
varsity
in a different
versus
league.
freshman.
Oh, man, it was anything they wanted. Like anything. Derek Carr looked like, Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
19
It
for
was
23,
unbelievable.
200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just easy work.
And that's the thing,
Easy
200
work.
yards. 200 yards because he was getting the ball at the 20. It's hard to throw for 300 when you're getting the ball at the 28 every time.
Yeah. Alvin Kamara, great game.
Yeah,
Alvin Kamara looked
was
like
great.
vintage
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. So
Crazy. Crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, so that's the first, I guess, player we had on our list here. Landon, who's the first player you want to bring up here?
I think we talk about Puka
Yeah.
because in our tips to rebuild your team, one of my tips was trade for elite players that get injured. Here it is, guys. It happened.
Yep.
Puka, going into Sunday night football, he was unquestionably a top 7 dynasty receiver, and he was going he was as high as top 5. And he's injured. He's going to miss at least 4 weeks. Could be a little longer. Dude, now's the time. Now, I will say this. Because he's going to be back in 4 to 6 weeks, a contender will be like, well, I don't have to trade him. He's going to be back for the playoffs. So it might be a little harder at this time. But still, maybe somebody gets antsy with him, and you can trade a producing receiver plus some value and pull him off. But he was clearly a little hampered going into the game, and then obviously left
he wasn't
early. So
I don't think he was ever healthy truly from because he had this injury in preseason, and it has not healed. You could tell he was slow, hobbling. So
yeah.
I don't want to wish this on anything. I kind of expected him to put him on IR. I'm not, I guess, predicting this happens, but if there is for some reason he needs surgery, I would not be shocked if they go ahead and do that and just shut him down for a while Cup is out here absolutely dominating. Just go ahead, get it done. I'm not saying it'll happen, but it for whatever reason, that wouldn't surprise me if they do it.
Yeah, it could happen. And with this game, I'll let you and Josh get into Cooper Kupp when y'all record, but
I can't wait.
people are thinking some dangerous thoughts about Cooper Kupp right now.
Me, this guy right here, is thinking some dangerous thoughts
me too,
about
though.
Cooper Kupp.
Me too.
Dude,
I have
it
0
was,
shares, but me too.
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh. I have Cup in 3 I have Cup in 3 dynasty leagues. We'll get into it tomorrow, but yeah, we got some thoughts.
Good for you.
Drake London. Another one like Chris Olave. My Falcons, I'm ready for Penix.
Wow.
I'm already ready for Penix.
Really?
Not
Really?
not really, I guess. I mean, I don't know, man.
The difference
was tough.
The difference between London and Olave is Olave's offense scored 40 points and London's offense looked abysmal. Like Olave didn't get the ball because he didn't need to get the ball. London didn't get the ball because they couldn't get him the ball. So there's a difference there. That's not the same thing.
And I mean,
But
I was going to be mad that Kyle Pitts only got 3 targets until I looked and realized London only had 3 targets. I'm like, oh, so the offense is just bad. Great.
and at least Kyle scored a touchdown.
Yeah, thank God. I sent a text to the group chat. I was very hyped when Kyle scored the touchdown. Yes, it's happening.
You were.
Thank God. And then the rest of the game happened. I'm like, oh, he just got lucky. Drake London sucks. I mean, it was. I was also having dangerous thoughts, but only because I've been hyped all offseason, and this is the production I get to see. Great for Bijan. Bijan's production was
Bijan was great, yeah.
everything you hope to see.
Right. He didn't score, but yeah. So going back to London, dynasty-wise, if you have him on your dynasty roster, obviously, I mean, almost every roster out there, you're going to be playing him. But based on week 1, his overall dynasty value doesn't really take a hit for me. But my expectations for his scoring this year took a bigger hit than Olave's did. Like I said, Olave didn't get the ball because he didn't need the ball. London didn't get the ball because they could not get him the ball. Like, the Falcons' offensive line could not block
And we
TJ
were
Watt.
supposed to have one of the best offensive lines in football.
Well, you struggled with TJ Watt. I'll tell you that. Because,
I mean,
that guy...
TJ Watt was the best player, not defensive player. He was the best player in football this Sunday. He was the best football player
I feel like
on any field.
I feel like his stats probably aren't crazy because he had a lot of penalties when he got a sack or a fumble or whatever. But if you watch that game,
absolutely wrecked our
this
game
guy
plan.
dominated. So Kirk looked a little gun shy. Anytime somebody was around him, he was not standing in the pocket. He looked scared of the injury. So we'll see. But as far as his, dynasty outlook, he's in a group of guys that, like, there's a group from, the 11th best dynasty receiver to 18 that's pretty interchangeable. He's still in that group. He's still in that area. And I would not be panic selling him redraft or dynasty.
No. I mean, and I think better days are ahead for Atlanta. Not to make excuses for them, but the Pittsburgh defense is very, very good. It always has been. It always will be under Mike Tomlin. It's very frustrating this happened at home. Very frustrating it happened in week 1. But week 1 is always a weird week for football. Always. I mean,
it is always weird.
Yeah.
And I'm going to toot my horn. I want to toot my own horn here for a second. If you remember, I don't remember what episode it was, but one of these episodes we did, I said the Steelers are probably going to win 8-9 games, and it'll be 8 of the ugliest wins you've ever seen.
Yep.
We can put
They're
a check
1-0
beside
in
one
that.
of them. We got
Yep.
one. We got
6
one.
field goals,
Okay? So
no touchdowns, and they won by almost double digits.
We only need 7 more.
They beat us.
Need 7 more of the ugliest wins you've ever seen.
They beat us by almost 2 scores, and they did not have a touchdown.
They didn't have a touchdown.
God.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
Anyways.
Before I burst a blood vessel, let's move on. Let's see. We've got Olave, Puka, London. Okay, there's some rookies here that need mention. If you watched yesterday, you can probably think of some of the guys we're going to talk about. Landon, kick us off with the first rookie.
So the first rookie receiver we'll talk about, and this one is a tough pill to swallow.
First one off the board
is Marvin Harrison Jr. First off the board in real life, first off the board in dynasty drafts, first off the board in this episode for rookie wide receivers. What are your thoughts on what happened to Marvin Harrison Jr. this weekend?
The first thing is I'm going to take a victory lap here, and I'm also going to take a victory lap tomorrow when Josh and I talk about everything else. Is it arrogant? Yes, I'm still going to do it. We said that Marvin Harrison we did not like his price, at least in redraft, just because the rookie receiver has to hit right away. And you were going at the end of the second round, and this kind of shows it. And this is not by any means that I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a bust, anything like that. But sometimes, they are rookies. It's going to take some time. Yep. Sometimes they're not going to pop right away every single year like we've been spoiled with. Like Jamar Chase had 20 points in his first game. Puka Nacua had 18 targets in his first game. Sometimes it's just not going to happen. That being said, 3 targets is actually a little concerning.
Yeah, this is probably the most concerning sign of any player of the whole weekend, any dynasty relevant player, was probably this Marvin Harrison Jr. for me. It wasn't only that he got 3 targets. It wasn't that he dropped a pass. I don't really care about that. It was like Kyler was getting the snap and not even looking his way. Now, you could say maybe Kyler could tell just based on the coverage before the play, like they're taking Marvin away. The coach came out and said, look, they were taking Marvin away. They were rolling these coverages, whatever you want to say. Kyler was not even looking at him. And when you have that guy out there, you find ways to get him the ball. And the Cardinals didn't do that. So that is a little concerning for me.
Look at Cooper Kupp. I mean, once Puka got hurt, he's the only weapon the Rams have, and Sean McVay still got him 21 targets, 14 catches. And I'm not saying Marvin's Cooper Kupp by any means, right, at least at this point in his career, but you get your best player of the football no matter what.
Yeah. Like, that was a little concerning for me because I think a lot of people, I mean, both of us, would not have been upset if Marvin came out and had 14 targets, 9 catches, and scored a touchdown. We wouldn't have been upset.
I'd be a little upset, but it's only because I have one share across all my Dynasty leagues of Marvin Harrison Jr. But even still, But yeah, it is.
I still think he's going to have a big rookie year. I really do. I trust the talent, trust the prospect, but he looked a little deer in the headlights. Like, the releases were not crisp. He did not look fast. Like, he looked a little like, oh, this is the NFL, and this is a little different.
These some bad boys out
I'm not going for 203 touchdowns every game.
This isn't like Ohio State versus Cal right now. This is
no.
And this is
I didn't play Rutgers this week.
No. And I would like to say that maybe people overestimated the demise of the Bills, that everyone was like, oh, the Bills are taking a year off, they're done. No, the Bills came out and looked like the Bills. They are one of the best teams in the league.
Also, like, especially a defensive coach, when they hear all offseason about how great this rookie is and this rookie and all this, and he's the next top receiver, Sean McDermott's sitting back saying, okay, this kid ain't getting the ball. So I do think there was a lot. The coach said they were taking him away. Kyler actually said, I don't know if they were taking him away. It was kind of more this. So it's a little weird, little mixed messages coming out, but I think he's got his first game under his belt. I'm telling you, the first time Marvin Harrison has 8 catches for 100 and a touchdown, he's unbuyable. You can't get him at that point. So if for some reason someone in your league with Marvin Harrison Jr. wants to sell him, and like I said, this is why I say I don't make any trade today that I wouldn't have made a week ago. If you have Marvin Harrison Jr., you don't sell him for anything less than you would have sold him for a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
You don't sell him for, like, that price has not changed.
He was my Dynasty wide receiver 5 coming into this game.
Yeah.
And he is still my Dynasty wide receiver 5.
Yes. You keep your head above the waves, you take a deep breath, and you say, let me give the kid more than one game. Can I give the kid more than one game?
How many games did it take Amon-Ra St. Brown to get going? 10 games?
10
and he never looked he never looked back after that?
He has not looked back. So, yeah, I wouldn't.
He might have looked back a little bit this week.
The next 4 weeks, am I concerned about MHJ's production? Yes. Dynasty value change? No.
No, and looking at the Cardinals schedule too, it's there is one game I look on here, and you probably know which one it is. The Rams can be kind of tough. Lions defense looked really good. Week 4 we got Commanders for Marvin Harrison Jr. And
let me tell you at home,
there's the breakout, boys.
If you have a receiver against the Commanders, play them. I don't care if this week, if you have Wan'Dale Robinson, Jalen Hyatt, play him. I watched that game this week with the Buccaneers. Oh, my goodness. You are firing up any receiver against the Commanders.
Yeah, no, that was concerning. All right, this one's not a rookie. Yeah. I forgot he was actually down here, but you specifically wanted to mention this guy, Jayden Reed.
So we don't only talk negatives on this show.
No,
we talk some positives. And Jayden Reed, dude.
That was impressive.
Reed, I'm ready to say, is a good player. Like, like separated himself. Like, and I don't want to overreact to week 1, but I was thinking this all off season. I was thinking this last year. Like from week 10 on last year, he was a wide receiver 1, not a dynasty rookie wide receiver 1. He was a wide receiver 1 from week 10 on last year. And then he does this. He puts up, I mean, what is it? What do you have? Like 34 PPR points, 31 half-point PPR points?
Yeah, something like that. 138 yards.
Remember, he had like a 30-yard touchdown called back too. So like he had another long touchdown
40.
in that game.
Could have been 40.
Yeah, So am I saying Jayden Reed, dynasty wide receiver, top 10 dynasty wide receiver? No, I'm not saying that. My point is, I don't see a debate in which Packers wide receiver you want in dynasty. I don't see a debate. I know there's a lot of guys people like. There's like 4 other guys people like. By the way, Josh's guy, Dontavian Wicks, did you see that stat line?
Yeah, 3 targets, no catches.
Yeah, so
We always got to get our digs in at Josh here.
Yes, he's not here to defend himself. But Jayden Reed is a good player. Now, I think sneaky, there's still a buy window opened up because of Love's injury.
Oh, yeah.
I think, honestly, who's the Packers' backup? Like, I saw they were interested
Willis.
in Tannehill, but who
is Malik Willis?
Willis is their backup. That's right. Okay, so because he came in that game. Okay.
Yeah, that's scary.
So that's real scary. I will say, of those receivers, not only do I think Jayden Reed is the best, he is the one who will be affected least by this because he plays the slot. They get him running back. Not running back, but they get him carries. Like they get him rushing touches. So I'm not super excited for his outlook the next few weeks without Jordan Love, but Jordan Love's not out for the year, and I think, in my opinion, it's clear who the best receiver in Green Bay is.
Yeah. And I will say they all had very similar usage numbers per se, like Romeo Doubs, 7 targets. Jayden Reed only had 6 targets. Christian Watson had 5 targets. So it was evenly distributed, but it's one of those, if you watch the game, you can tell which one's better. Like he's clearly the more explosive athlete of all of them.
Right. And to me, like you just said that. We know about fantasy football, about real life NFL football. Like we know the players, but we don't know anything about the schemes, or we don't know anything about that, right?
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur does, and he has eyes too. Like he sees this. He knows who his best players are. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees this and Jordan Reed starts getting the ball more. Malik Willis is not going to be able to throw it deep to Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs, or he's not going to be able to do that. If anyone is catching the ball, it's going to be a tight end or Jayden Reed or Josh Jacobs. Like that's all he's going to be able to get the ball to the next few weeks. So I really like what I see from Jayden Reed. I'm trying not to overreact, but I think he has separated himself as the wide receiver 1 in Green Bay. It was impressive.
Yeah.
Every time he touches the ball, man. And they took him in the 2nd round last year. And a lot of people were like, oh, he had like a 3rd, 4th round grade. They took him in the 2nd, so I don't like that as much. I look at that and I say, I like that more because that means they saw something in him where they were like, I don't care what the grade says. We're going to get him. I'm not leaving the draft without him. So they clearly like him. He's a good player.
Yeah. All right. 2 more rookie receivers we want to mention. The first one, another one that's sneaky good. We were not expecting this to happen. Brian Thomas Jr. Immediate chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. Immediate chemistry.
Yes. He and Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram kind of fit like a glove. Like they lost the game. They had a big lead. They lost the lead. The Dolphins came back, whatever. But you can see how that's going to work. Now, Doug Peterson's coaching decisions, I don't see how that's going to work. If you saw the game, you know what I'm talking about. He went for a 4th down on like his own 30 or something, up 3. Crazy. But
that's a bad idea.
But these guys together, man, they complement each other well. Brian Thomas looked good, had the touchdown catch in the back of the end zone from Trevor. If you drafted BTJ at, the 110, 111, even early second, you liked what you saw in that first game.
Yeah, no, that was exactly where he was going to. I feel like all of those late round guys hit. BTJ hit. Lad McConkey did well. Xavier Worthy did well.
Yep.
All of those 110
Xavier
to 1 or
good.
2-3 guys all look good. Such a deep
And then
class
Marvin
this
and
year.
Odunze. And then
The
Marvin
high end
and Odunze
guys just nothing. 2 catches.
combined for 4 points. Yeah, combined for
2
4
catches
points.
for 14 yards between the two of them.
Yeah. We don't have Rome. We're not talking about Rome, but kind of same thing. Don't sell Rome, please.
Well, especially now that Rome's a little banged up. He's got a grade 1 knee sprain. He'll probably be fine, but just wait until Keenan is out. Keenan's already banged up.
It'll happen.
It's gonna get there. Don't have to spend a ton of time on this guy, but Malik Neighbors kind of was what I expected, more or less. The Giants' offense is one of the worst offenses I've ever seen. But 7 targets, 5 catches, 60 yards. Of all the receivers who could succeed in this Giants offense, I think Malik is the only one I think who could he can still shine in this offense just with his style of play.
Yep. I will say this. I just mentioned it earlier. If you want Malik Neighbors on your team and you don't have him on your team, you better go trade for him before Sunday. Because Sunday, I watched Washington play last week. He is going for 180 and 3 touchdowns. So you won't be able to get him after Sunday. So go get him now.
He will do that if and only when was it the Italian stallion Danny DeVito comes out there.
They got Drew Lock.
I do have Drew. I actually like Drew Lock.
They got Drew Lock.
I like Drew Lock.
Oh, and
he's gonna
by the way,
he's gonna make a start very soon.
Yeah, here's a sneaky take. If Daniel Jones doesn't have 15 points next week against the Commanders, he is droppable in all formats. I'm talking about if you are in a 16-team Superflex, you can drop Daniel Jones if he doesn't have 15 points next week.
Okay, if he doesn't have 15 points next week, he's literally losing his job. It's done.
Yeah, he's not a player on the Giants anymore. Yeah.
No. All right, let's talk about a few quarterbacks here. The big name ones, basically. Caleb.
Right. Yep.
A lot of people have thoughts and opinions and feelings about this game. I don't know where you land on it.
The game was weird, dude. Did you watch it?
I watched part of it.
Game?
Yeah, I was.
Dude, this game
I
was
had
weird. There were
red zone going for the most of it, so it was hard for me to pay attention to like a lot of the details.
Right. Dude, Will Levis was slinging the ball all over the field.
Early in
Tony
the game, though, and then he
Pollard
just
looked
stopped.
Yeah, Tony Pollard looked like LaDainian Tomlinson, and then all of a sudden it was just special teams touchdowns and defensive touchdowns and picks, and it was crazy. And Caleb throws for less than 100 yards, and the Bears were able to get the win. Like, he didn't turn the ball over, but
He's the first
he did not look good.
number 1 overall pick to win his first game since David Carr.
Wow. That's crazy. He did not look good. He looked pretty abysmal. If you watch that game, I mean, there were some not easy throws, but like throws that any NFL starting quarterback should make that he was missing guys wide open. Again,
This isn't Hard Knocks in the preseason anymore. This is these are the real boys you're playing against right now. I will say I was impressed that he didn't throw any stupid interceptions and makes just abysmal decisions out there. He looked uncomfortable for sure. But he didn't.
Right. He looked bad. But again, it doesn't change my dynasty outlook of him. I said last week, one of my takes was he will be going ahead of CJ Stroud this time next year. I still believe that. My view of him hasn't changed. He's going to get his feet under him. They got a good team. And they got off to a win. Say what you want. The first several weeks of the season for the Bears are really easy. He got a really good break with scheduling. So hopefully, he just continues to build on this. Let me pull up their schedule the first several weeks. Okay, so they have the Texans next week. That's pretty tough. And they have the Rams in a couple weeks. But other than that, they have the Colts. Their defense was terrible. Panthers coming up. Jags coming up. Commanders' defense is terrible. Cardinals' defense didn't impress me. Then they have the Patriots. And so none of those teams are scaring me. You're talking about week 10, and they only have 2 really tough defenses they're playing until week 10. So I like that. He'll be fine. I wouldn't worry too much about Caleb.
Yeah, no, he will catch up. The other rookie quarterback, I think they are only 2 to play. No, Bo Nix played, looked horrible. So we're not going to really talk a ton about him. Jayden Daniels. I know you're a Commanders fan, so you're high on him. I've been extremely high on Jayden Daniels. I'm not a Commanders fan. I just liked him as a prospect, as a player, and I don't hate the Commanders, so I'm cool with Jayden. But yeah, I like him a lot. I have got things to say when Josh and I record about him. I think he is. Am I wrong to say he should be a guy who's moving up, not only redraft rankings, but potentially dynasty rankings too?
I'm quick. I know he's a rookie. I'm quicker to move him up redraft rankings than I am dynasty rankings. I think wherever you had him ranked in dynasty last week, that's where you should have him ranked in dynasty this week. But he clearly showed, as for this year redraft, he's ready to score fantasy points. Like, if you watch the game, it was clearly they're protecting him, right? They're giving him quick reads, right? He has one read, possibly he has a second, and if that's not there, he's taking off. Typically, it was, my first read's not there, I'm gone. That's what it was if you watch the game. Sometimes he would have a second read in there too, but he was not throwing the ball down the field. I think he only had 3 passes more than 10 yards down the field, which was the lowest of anyone. But them legs, he can run.
Boy.
And he's going to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
And,
I saw where he had he had 3 goal line carries, which is the most in the league of quarterbacks and running backs. 3 goal line carries as a quarterback. And the formula, it's exactly what you hope for with somebody like Jayden Reed. Running quarterback and a bad defense. They're constantly going to be playing from behind. He's constantly going to be having to put the team on his shoulders. And he's constantly going to be rushing for almost 100 yards.
Yeah, like I said, I think a lot of people had him and Caleb pretty close in dynasty rankings. Now, Caleb sometimes were going early second. Jayden was late second into the third. But as far as quarterback rankings, I think they were pretty close. They were maybe 1 or 2 spots off of each other. After week 1, I would not change those. I would not put Jayden ahead of Caleb in dynasty rankings. I'm not there yet. But as for redraft, he's going to outscore Caleb by a lot in redraft. He's clearly not ready to have complete command of an NFL offense. They are keeping it super simple for him, super quick. They don't trust the offensive line. So he's not ready to command an NFL offense the way that needs to for really turning that into NFL wins. But in fantasy, he's going to score points, man. We see it every year with a rushing quarterback who we know probably isn't the best quarterback, but they're just going to run enough to be relevant and to be a top option. I played in one of our leagues. I have Stroud, Lawrence, and Daniels. I played Daniels
really
over
good for a super
Lawrence
flex league
this week.
That's really good.
Yeah, really good for super flex league. Yeah, but I played Daniels over Lawrence this week, never having seen him play because I knew right now he's healthy. That's one of the concerns. You don't have to worry about that right now because he is healthy, and I know he's going to run. So I played him this week, and I will continue to do so.
Yeah. And I would like to say, too, I said this about Caleb, and I'll say it about Jayden too. Again, and I know they're quick reads and stuff like that, but no just silly mistakes on their part. Like you see a lot of rookie quarterbacks panic, toss it where they don't need to throw it or try to force something. He didn't do any of that. He had one bad throw, but it was an overthrow of Terry McLaurin. Other than that, like he was pretty efficient throwing the ball. I mean, 17 for 24 for a quote-unquote rushing quarterback. And like his whole thing in college was obviously he ran, but he was super effective throwing the deep ball in college. Now, granted, he was throwing to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., but still great in college. So the fact that he was very efficient throwing these short passes, if they can somehow unlock Terry McLaurin and somebody else down the field, the ceiling can go even further up for Jayden Daniels. So I feel like that's a good thing. All right.
For his dynasty value, for his health value, the stupid decision for Jayden Daniels looks different than other quarterbacks. Other quarterbacks, the stupid decision is throwing into triple coverage. For Jayden Daniels, the stupid decision is, I think I can truck this middle linebacker. Let me lower my shoulder. And he didn't do that. In his defense, he looks atrocious trying to slide. He does not know how to slide, but he's at least getting down. He's at least realizing, hey, I'm probably, this strong safety is probably going to get the better of me. Let me just slide. Let me get out of bounds. And he did that, which is a concern for me as a Commanders fan, that he's not going to be willing to do that. And he showed he'd do that. So hopefully he stays healthy. And redraft-wise,
get his helmet fixed, please.
Jayden, redraft-wise, Jayden should shoot up boards. Dynasty-wise, let's stay where it is. And I know that sounds counterintuitive right now as far as like, wait a second, if he's a rookie and he's going to produce more this year, shouldn't he be ranked way higher? But you have long-term outlooks in terms of health, in terms of sustainability of rushing and those kind of things that change that a little bit. But that's why some people would argue Mahomes over Allen in Dynasty. I know neither one of us are there, but some people argue for that reason. So, but right now, after week 1, Jayden looks pretty good for fantasy.
Yeah. Last quarterback we want to mention, this is Josh's darling player, and rightfully so. It's Anthony Richardson. I mean, he completed 9 of 19 passes and scored like 30 fantasy points.
Dude, he looks like an alien out there.
He looks like huge. Josh Allen. He looks like Josh Allen.
Oh my God. He truly, he looks like prime Cam Newton. Like when Cam used to be on the field, he just looked like, oh, that is the guy. Like if I knew nothing about football, I would say he's the best player. That's what I saw from Anthony Richardson this week. He just looked, even his helmet looks huge. He's just a big boy. He showed the ability, like Josh Allen has, to, like, he was wrapped up at the goal line at like the 2 and got in the end zone. He's that big, that strong. He has that ability. He missed a few big throws that if he hits, that stat line starts looking like, closer to 45, 50 points than where it was. Yeah. But he was awesome, dude. He was awesome.
No, it's... And Michael Pittman didn't do a whole lot. No. Jonathan Taylor really didn't get going. So
he didn't have Josh Downs.
Yeah,
it was Alec Pierce. It wasn't even AD Mitchell.
What's crazy is we saw this offense pretty much at its floor. So that's scary if you think about it. So, yeah,
they're going to be good. Now, the only reason, honestly, the only reason he wasn't going in the top 3 in startups this year is the injury concerns. Like, if he would have stayed healthy all 17 games last year and played like he did in the short time he played, he would have been the QB 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
So the answers of can he stay healthy, we didn't get the answer to that question this week, but we just saw more of what we already knew, and what we already knew was, dude, when this guy's on the field, as far as fantasy points go, there's not going to be many quarterbacks that outscore him.
Yeah, I've adjusted my redraft rankings. He's another one I'm not moving in Dynasty, kind of like Jayden. But
Yeah.
in redraft, he just jumped to my top 3. Like, it is Allen, Hurts, and Anthony Richardson are the top 3 redraft quarterbacks right now. And I think there's a gap between those 3 and number 4. I really do.
Yes, he is the second best bet every single week to finish as the QB1. Every week, other than Josh Allen, if you're saying who has the potential to score the most points this week, it's him. Every week.
Yeah. It's insane.
Other than Josh Allen.
Obviously. The demise of Josh Allen was greatly over exaggerated. I know we weren't mentioning talking about him, but I just want to talk about him. Lose Stephon Diggs, everybody wrote him off. Nope, still 300 total yards, or almost 300 total yards and 4 touchdowns, 78% completion percentage. Hats off to Josh Allen, proving everybody wrong. Okay.
He was trying to die on every play, though.
I think Sleeper posted on Instagram. I sent you the picture of it. It's like Josh Allen with 1 yard to gain, and it's a wrestler just from the top rope, just into the crowd, trying to kill himself.
When I tell you I laughed way too hard on that, I'm not kidding. I probably laughed out loud for over a minute, and my wife was looking at me like I was an idiot.
What is wrong with you?
Gosh, that was funny.
It's the most accurate thing.
It's so true, though. He is trying to injure himself every single play.
Alex,
he had a couple plays this week where I'm like, dude, you cannot do that all year. You've got to stop doing that.
You're Josh Allen, the face of the franchise. Quit it. It's the Cardinals. It's not that serious. Anyway, tangent aside, last player we want to mention, the one running back we'll bring up, and we've both been harping on him over and over and over again across these episodes. Even in redraft, we've been harping on him. Jonathan Brooks. And I want to mention Jonathan Brooks, not for anything he did, but it's for how genuinely horrible the Panthers offense looked. And you think I'm spinning this in a negative way. I'm not. I think his value might have taken a dip even slightly further just because of how bad they looked, that you could get him for a little bit cheaper.
It probably did. Like, they were so bad. Oh, my goodness. And they'll get better, right? They're not going to get beat by 40 every week or whatever they got beat by, but
for the Panthers'
they
sake,
looked like
I hope
they didn't
not.
deserve to be on the field. So, yeah, you're probably right. It probably did hurt his value. The dude is injured, and everybody knows he's going to play this year and all that, and it still probably hurt his value.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is, like, it looks so bad. I genuinely think people are kind of like, even if he comes back, is he going to be able to do anything? Kind of like a similar situation to like what people are worried about with Neighbors. I'm like, well, the offense is going to be so bad. Can he overcome the situation? So when a guy we think is an elite player and who's going to get an elite workload, we've been harping on it, that there's going to be a bye window because all those guys, like, after they missed a few weeks, there's going to be a chance to get him. And the fact that I think it's coming down a little bit further, it's just something to keep in your head and keep an eye on. And you're going to be able to try to make a move here very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, Jonathan Brooks, even if you have him, you're like, dude, if he comes back and he's Adrian Peterson, he ain't going to help that team. Like,
it's that bad.
Yeah.
Well, Landon,
I'm pulling for the Panthers, man.
Else?
We're kind of surrounding Charlotte. You live a little below, I live a little above. I'm pulling for them, but man, I'm a
Falcons fan,
I don't see it turning around much.
I don't have anything vested in them.
You're
but
a Falcons fan.
I don't wish bad things on him. I don't like the Saints. I really don't like the Bucks right now. Yeah. But it's one of those, like, I don't hate anything bad on them because I just feel no threat from them whatsoever.
You have nothing to fear.
Yeah. That'll be a get-right game for the Falcons offense. It's against.
That's true. That you're glad they're in your division. You're like, yes, let me get them twice a year. Yeah.
Let me lock in 2 wins there. 2 good fantasy games.
Yep.
Yep, that's easy. Landon, is there anything else we want to mention before we hop off here today?
What are you most looking for in week 2? From a dynasty perspective, from just a NFL perspective, what are you most looking forward to in week 2?
I guess I'm really most looking forward to see how the response is, because week 1 is, like we said, it is always just a weird week. No matter what, things just, they don't go as planned. Players are rusty. You know, guys who missed training camp, like Jamar Chase, Brandon Ayuk, neither one of them looked amazing. You know they are good in real life. Like Ayuk dropped a touchdown. Chase and the Bengals offense was absolutely lethargic. What's the response? Because you know it's not going to be like this all year. So, yeah, I'm more excited just to see how guys bounce back.
Yeah, I would say the thing I'll be watching the most closely other than Washington would be, like, I want to see Marv. Does he still look like deer in headlights? And then the 2 offenses I'm most excited, or not most excited, but I'm paying the most attention to is probably the Falcons and the Bengals, like you said, because both of them, man, they did not look like what I expected them to.
I think they were easily the biggest disappointments of the week. Not that the Bengals were necessarily surprising, because I don't know what it is. They always do this, man. Every year, Joe Burrow's like, I think they said he's 1-8 in the first 3 games of the season or something like that.
Wow.
Like, it's just, why is it so bad to start? Like, he's missed 2 training camp for the past 2 previous years. Now he finally is in training camp the whole time this year, and his 2 best weapons miss. And now T. Higgins is missing more time. I want to say, tangent real quick, I defended T. Higgins this entire offseason, and now he's already missed the first 2 games of the year. I am very angry about this.
So I've got my eyebrow raised at that. Maybe a little I could play, but this contract situation, I'm not going to play through it type deal with T. Higgins.
The Bengals have
already see
fumbled
that,
this
and I could
so badly.
And I could definitely you let Jamar Chase get banged up this year. See if he plays through it. You think he's playing through it? No, he's not. So the Bengals,
and the worst part is, like,
situation.
This is the year. This is your shot to give the Chiefs a run for your money with Chase and T. Higgins, and they are fumbling this hard. Like, this is an absolute disaster we're watching right now.
Speaking of the Chiefs, speaking of week 2, speaking of the Bengals, is it in Arrowhead?
Yep.
Oh gosh.
I
want
want
to
to
say
say
want to send a message.
I want to say it'll be a good game, but it would be a good game if this was in November.
Say that?
Because you knew if this was in November, at that point Burrow's got his swagger back. The Bengals are in their head or whatever where they think they're the underdogs. And they are the underdogs this time, but it's not going to work in their favor. I think the Chiefs just roll them in this.
Yeah, I mean, I could see, after all the Burrowhead stuff a few years back, after just all they've been through, I could see Andy and Patrick wanting to send a little message right here.
Yeah.
Maybe we see the behind the back pass if it gets out of hand.
Genuinely, here is actually a storyline I was kind of thinking of, because have said it during the offseason, like, not 100% joking, but not 100% serious either, like, who genuinely can beat the Chiefs. Like, that's what I'm watching. Like, nobody this past Sunday stood out as, like, that's the team that can go, besides the 49ers, but in the AFC, who can stand up against them? And right now it's the Bills. Like, it's because they have the second best player in the AFC. They have the only quarterback right now who even stands a chance against him, and he's never been able to beat him in the playoffs.
I mean, I would say, until proven otherwise, the only people that I'll say Mike could beat him would be Burrow or the 49ers. And the 49ers haven't even proven it, but they've been close enough.
I would
Dude,
go
if you
for
are,
that.
if you
By that
don't
logic,
like
I'd
the
say
Chiefs,
the Bills are close enough to them.
If you don't like the Chiefs, I would find a different hobby in January and February for the next few years. If you don't like Mahomes, if you don't like Andy Reid, find a different hobby. That's what I would say. But I mean, somebody's got to slay the dragon.
It'll happen eventually.
I don't know.
I hope it's Josh Allen. I really do. But my bold prediction is I was saying that Ben Johnson is going to be coaching the Bills next season. No, Ben Johnson's going to be coaching the Bengals because Zach Taylor is bad.
You think it's Taylor?
It could be. Dude, I don't think he's that good a coach.
A few years after a Super Bowl appearance, gets the boot.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
Could happen. Well, I mean, heck, look at old boy for Eagles. They hate him.
He's going to last longer than Sirianni, and Sirianni's been to a Super Bowl more recently than him.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right. I think that's all we got, Landon.
That's all I got.
Yep. We're going to hop off
Don't
here.
be panic selling your dynasty assets after week 1.
No, do not do that.
It
is a bad idea. We're going to hop off. We will see you. I'll see you guys in the next episode. We'll record Josh probably tomorrow. And I'm excited for week 2.
Me too.
That's all we got.
Well,
if you enjoyed the show, leave us a like, leave us a review. Let us know what you think on Instagram. We will catch you guys in the next one.